You can now add Nicco Marchiol to the long list of injuries for the West Virginia Mountaineers. What does that mean for his future? Being banged up, we'll talk about it here today on Between the Eers. How are we doing, everybody, here on this fine Wednesday morning? Schuyler Callihan here with another episode of BTE. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. We have episodes dropping every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with the exception of next week, which we'll get to here in just a second. Tomorrow we'll have the Walk Thru GameDay Show previewing the matchup with the Utah Utes with Eugene, and we'll have the post-game show, of course, immediately after it. Now, as far as next week is concerned, because of the game being played on Friday, as I mentioned yesterday, we'll keep reminding you guys so you know when to expect an episode. Between the Eers will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we'll move the Walk Thru GameDay Show to Wednesday, giving us the same window between the time of the preview show dropping and kickoff for the Mountaineers. So, the injuries just keep piling up. Talked about running backs yesterday, and then we find out from the head ball coach that Nicco Marchiol, the starting quarterback, is now dealing with a foot injury. He's out in Colorado seeing a specialist. Don't really know what that means in terms of this week. To be honest, it's really hard to see him going from being in Colorado to back in Morgantown and getting enough reps under his belt for this week's game and being able to play in this week's game. Now, I could be completely wrong on that, and maybe he starts the game and plays every single snap, but that's not my expectation. And even without the injury, I still think you're probably going to see more Jaylen Henderson this Saturday anyway, especially after what he did last week in Kansas. I don't care if the game was out of control or well in hand, it doesn't matter. He provided a spark. It was the best the offense looked on the night, and he showed you some things with his legs. We're still waiting for the passing element to be more of a threat, but as I mentioned before, he can throw the football. It's not that he can't. There's been some miscommunications. There's been some drops, certainly, while he's been in the game for this offense, so it's not like he's a liability passing the football. That is just a lazy narrative that needs to stop. He can throw the ball. Just hasn't had that many opportunities. So don't look at the stat sheet and think you can't do it. Back to Nicco, though. So let's start with the right now, the present. What does this mean for this week? As I mentioned, I don't know that he can go and miss a couple practice days. I don't know how much practice he's going to miss. Might be a day, might be 2 days, might be 3. I really don't know. He may only get back here for a walkthrough and that's it. No telling. But it also depends on the result of that appointment. And if for whatever reason it comes back that it's not looking good and they want to take it maybe week to week, and I understand that too. But for this to be something that I don't want to say popped out of nowhere, because he said it's been bothering him for a couple of weeks. Look, let's not get into the whole Tucker DeVries thing, okay? we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but I just think for him it's smart to figure out what's going on and the severity of it and then make a decision. You know, is this something that he wants to continue playing through and potentially worsen the injury, or go out there, maybe not worsen it, but it hinders his ability to do his job and put bad tape out there, whether that's for this coaching staff or maybe others in the future, because there's going to be that discussion at the end of the season, regardless of what happens, whether he doesn't play the rest of the season, or I'm not trying to get into that hypothetical. I'm just throwing that out there. But, or he does play and doesn't play well, or if he does play and he figures things out, the offense is clicking, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody trying to show up to his doorstep with a bag. So one way or another, healthy or not, performed well or not, we're going to have this discussion at the end of the year about Nicco Marchiol and his future. So for this week, I think you're going to see Jaylen Henderson a good bit, and there is a good possibility that we see him the entire game or the majority of the game. Maybe that's Khalil Wilkins and Scotty Fox. I don't like the idea of that, especially in this game, because of Utah's defense. The way that they can get after you, that front seven is nasty. They can really get after the quarterback. They have like 68 or 70 some pressures. John Henry Daly, he's got like 20 some himself. It's tied secondly in the nation. So yeah, that defensive front is just ready to feast, especially when they sit back and watch the tape from what just happened with West Virginia and Kansas, and really the first 4 games of the season. They see this as a major opportunity to kind of pad their stats and look really damn good, as they should, as they should. But for Scotty Fox and Khalil Wilkins, I just don't know that I want to put them back there in that situation. I know you're trying to find a spark. Doesn't mean that he won't. I'm just saying personally, if I'm in Rich Rod's shoes, I'm looking at this and saying, don't know if I really want to destroy the confidence of one of my younger quarterbacks or both of them. The offensive line's not played well. It's one of the best defensive fronts you'll see. It's press man coverage, a lot of man coverage from this Utah defense. You're going to ask them to do a lot of tough things when they don't have a whole lot of experience. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you don't have probably much of a running game. So I don't know that that's a good idea. But Jaylen Henderson makes a ton of sense. And I think you can sit back and throw the ball with him 15, 20 times, and you're still going to be okay. Now, if Nicco is available and ready to play, sure, play him, maybe even start him, but still got to throw Jaylen Henderson into the mix. You cannot go the entire game with the game plan of playing Nicco every single snap. You just can't. Not especially now that you know that he's a little bit, you know, in pain or discomfort or whatever with this foot injury. You've got to have some mobility at that position. And Utah knows that. They know that this foot thing's out there. So you're going to have a stationary target back there even more than it was before. So bigger picture, what does this mean for Nicco? I mean, we're really in the hypothetical world today, I guess, because we're talking about a bunch of things that may or may not happen. But as I mentioned, I think at the end of the season, regardless, we are going to have some sort of discussion about whether or not Nicco's best served to be here in this program in Morgantown or elsewhere. It's not a square peg in round hole situation exactly. He can be successful in this system. I've said it 18,000 times at this point, and I'll probably say it another 18,000 more if I really have to, because I have to preface that with what I'm about to say. If you don't have the offensive line play to just be average, just average, it doesn't have to be the top of the line O-line. If you don't have average O-line play, then it's going to look like a square peg in a round hole. He needs certain things to happen in this system for him to be successful. That's not necessarily the case for Jaylen Henderson or Scotty Fox or Khalil Wilkins, because they can run away from those pressures. They can run away from the pocket collapsing. They can just make plays happen with their legs when things break down. We saw it last week with Jaylen Henderson. Rolled out to his left, thought about taking off, got right up against the line of scrimmage, and kind of like leaned back a little bit, zoop, threw the ball, got about an 8 or 9 yard pickup right at the sticks. That's not something Nicco's going to be doing. Jaylen Henderson can do that. And when he does that, it's going to make the defense kind of pick their poison. Do you bail on the coverage and try and bite down and make a play? Or do you sit back and hope that he doesn't tuck it and get the yardage himself? So that's the predicament that you're putting the defense in. Not so much with Nicco. But for Nicco to be successful, he has to have the offensive line play. Just has to. If he doesn't get it, it's going to look like what you've seen these first 4 games. Now, what kind of system fits Nicco the best? You're probably looking at something very similar to what West Virginia had here with Neil Brown, to be honest with you. That's obviously why he was recruited in it. To be in that system. It's not necessarily a pro style offense, but it's more pro style than what he's in now. It's take your time kind of offense, not a 100-mile-an-hour get to the ball and snap with every 10 to 15 seconds type of deal. I just think that type of an offense is going to fit him the best. Now, not trying to say he needs to hit the portal at the end of the season or anything like that, but I think this could be kind of a wake-up call for him, especially if Jaylen goes into the game this Saturday, doesn't have to light it up, but if he plays well and maybe takes over the job, could be a light bulb for Nicco to go like, hey, wanted it to work here, but it just might not. It just may not. So he's going to have that discussion at some point, whether that's now or at the end of the season. But it's not a square peg in a round hole. It can be fixed. It can be successful with him under center. It's just probably not going to be this season. So if you're Nicco, if you're Rich Rod, you're having these talks about the health of the foot and whether it's worth it to go in there behind this really poor offensive line. That's a tough conversation to have because you want to play. But at the same time, if you do, you're putting yourself at further risk performance-wise and health-wise. So, tough spot to be in if you're Nicco. But it can get fixed. It just won't be until December or January. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below here. Do you believe Nicco Marchiol will finish his career as a Mountaineer? That's the question for the day. Not talking about this week, not talking about the rest of the season. He's not going anywhere. But do you believe Nicco will finish his career as a Mountaineer? Let me know in the comment section, and we'll chat back and forth there. That's going to do it for me here today on Between the Eers. I'm Schuyler Callihan. Make sure, again, you hit that like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. That'll do it for me today, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Walk Thru GameDay Show to break down that matchup between the Mountaineers and the Eers.